Disco Elysium is a 2019 RPG game produced by Zaum and created by Robert Hurwitz. Inspired by tabletop role-playing games, you play as an amnesiac detective, arriving in a small town to solve a hanging suspected to be murder. It has a wide cast of characters, all with their own fully fleshed personalities, displaying how intersectionality combines the struggles of class, race, and sexuality. On the Isla of Encelinda is the disgraced former capital of the world, Revachol. And within Revachol, we find the quaint town of Martinez, a city destroyed by war and revolution and never quite fully repaired, leaving the people within poverty-stricken and distrusting of the authority that left them to fend for themselves. As a result, they're mostly governed by their local harbor union. Lieutenant W. Frater, Harry Dubois from Precinct 41 and Lieutenant Kim Kitsuragi from Precinct 57 are assigned to investigate within Revachol. Harry acts as the game's protagonist, and you're able to explore the world of Elysium through him. Kim Kitsuragi is a calm, stoic, and private man, but as you progress, you're able to see glimpses of his vulnerability. He was born in Revachol to have Seal-like parents. He has been discriminated against his entire life for looking visually Soulite, despite knowing nothing about Soul and not being able to speak Soulite. A point of pride for him. This has caused him to develop a complex where he constantly tries to prove how much of a regular garden variety Revacholian he is. He even debated changing his name at some point in his life. He joined the Revachol Citizens Militia, the RCM, at 23, and his work is a large part of his life. When he was first starting out as a junior detective, he was assigned to infiltrate an undercover pinball ring. Building his pinball skills, he ends up succeeding in becoming the pinball champion and defeating the undercover ring. His colleagues gave him nicknames such as Kim Pinball Kitsuragi and the Kim Ball, which Kim hated. Because he takes his job so seriously, he's always afraid of becoming the butt of the joke. His childhood history of being bullied for his race and his glasses most likely play into this fear of his. So he leans into the presentation of the perfect lieutenant he has curated for himself. His fears are realistic and so are his struggles. Each facet of himself is layered into his past and in the world around him. And like anyone else, he has some simplicities too. Loves cars and is a self-proclaimed torque dork. Plus, he's gay. He's gay.
Yes, this man is definitely one of the homos. I've seen them homos with my own eyes.
The homosexual underground.
The homosexual underground?
By interacting with characters throughout the game, Harry is able to learn more about himself or situations by thinking about them. These thoughts take in-game time to complete and are usually beneficial to the player. One of the characters you meet in the game leads you to an interesting thought called the homosexual underground. Thinking he could be a witness, Harry meets the smoker on the balcony. Nervous to talk to the police and consistently on edge, making sure no one was watching, the smoker on the balcony is an interesting character. He attempts to give you an obviously fake name, and when asked what he was doing last Sunday, he just claims that he had a friend over. When further questioned, he just calls the friend his Sunday friend. If you're someone who has an eye for queer coding, you might be wondering if you're the only one who's getting a queer vibe from the man. Don't worry, you're not. If you pass the skill check after your first conversation with the smoker on the balcony, he helps your investigation and lets you have another conversation with him. If you meet him in his apartment, he says his Sunday friend has come early and is willing to meet you, but he has to leave. The player has the option to ask the smoker to promise that him and Harry will talk again. Kim, as a gay man, is amused by Harry's obvious oblivion to the queer vibes flowing off of him. Inside the smoker's apartment, you meet the infamous Sunday friend, a government official who, can be inferred, hides the fact he's gay by blowing off steam with the smoker on the balcony on Sundays, since Martinez is such a forgettable town. When the smoker on the balcony asks you if you liked his Sunday friend, the player has the option to say that Harry didn't quite like him as much as he liked the smoker on the balcony, leading the smoker to describe his Sunday friend as, quote, a visitor of the first world. He's not like you and me. He can always return. End quote. The Sunday friend is straight passing enough where he's accepted by everyone else and never has to fear the rejection if people found out he was more than a government official. The first world can be inferred to be the straight passing world or just the heterosexual world in general. If a skill check is passed after that conversation, you're able to confirm that the smoker on the balcony is in fact gay, further making Harry wonder what his sexuality is, gaining you the homosexual underground thought. While other thoughts give you stat boosts when completing them, the homosexual underground just tells Harry that he stopped obsessing about his sexuality.
Homosexual underground. Maybe you should stop obsessing about your own and other people's sexuality. Feels like it's about time to do that. You thought about this for 8 hours? Not only should you stop, you should tell Kim you've stopped obsessing about other people's sexuality too. I'm sure he'd appreciate it.
Allowing Harry to realize that sexuality is just another part of life. It's only if you think about the homosexual underground that you're able to find out that Kim is gay.
What? You didn't stop at all, did you? You are just obsessing about other people's sexuality now. But am I? I'll spare you another 20-hour mind project. Yes, I am. Now let's get back to work.
That's the truth.
On January 1st, 2024, Estonia's law came into force, legalizing same-sex marriage, redefining marriage as between two physical persons, becoming the first FAOLEX country to do so. This didn't come without pushback though. 59 Estonian public figures signed an open letter and sent it to the Estonian parliament. University of Tartu political scientist Martin Mulder, one of the 59 public figures signing the letter, claimed that marriage mostly stands for family, while family is primarily understood as a man, woman, and their children, which is where civil partnership stood before the legalization of same-sex marriage. The registered partnership law was drafted in 2014 and then entered into force on January 1st, 2016, allowing people to register their relationships as civil unions. In theory, same-sex couples were able to be married without legally being married. Considering before 2024, Estonia considered family as a union between a man and a woman. But the steps weren't put into place for the partnership law to fully be in effect when it was put into force, so it wasn't able to be used to its fullest potential until 2023. Fullest potential being partnership between same-sex couples, since until 2023, the law was mostly only able to be used in adoption cases where one member of a couple had children from another relationship and wanted their current partner to be considered a legal guardian. Fans love Disco Elysium because of how Estonian author Robert Kurvitz's world came to life. The game doesn't leave representation to be a single character's burden, and instead lets each character's diverse background and backstory speak for themselves. Their individual intersectionality creates a realistic portrayal of people in a world. The player is able to relate and project onto their favorite characters, seeing aspects of themselves represented through a game that is much more than a murder mystery.